Assalamualaikum to Medan Arini and also to all my fellow friends. So first of all, I would like to introduce my group mate, which are me myself is Nur Azhara Midun Aris, Aini Azatul binti Baharum, Aini Sofia binti Muhammad Zaki, Nur Asla binti Yusuf and Nur Faham binti Rizal. So today our group will present about the recognition of a trade union. How for a trade union to get their recognition. So, in this topic, it contains of introduction of a recognition, types of recognition, and also the procedures of recognition. Okay, I will start with the introduction of the recognition. So, what is actually a recognition? Here, recognition means an employees are essential and required to accept a union as rightful representatives of his or her worker. So, basically, this recognition is like a starting point for employees to start their collective bargaining with their employers. So, it is very essential condition for one union to get the recognition from their employers so that the union can be functioned. After the recognition has been made, by the means of that, the union then will turn to be a legitimate representatives of the workers to exercise their freedom. For example, in terms of representative to individual members in the union that have complaints or grievances over something. Besides, negotiating on behalf of all workers at the workplace in betterment terms. Okay, basically, the recognition content of two scopes, which are the general and limited recognition. These two recognition is actually different from each other, such as in terms of their membership. So, if there is a union tend to have a larger numbers of membership, then the union will be crowned with the general recognition from the employers. The majority numbers of workers that join the union usually exceed 70%, while in limited recognition, their membership usually is lower than the general recognition. It is because only 30% of employees at the workplace that join the union. Next, we will look at the second difference, which are the bargaining power. Okay, in the general recognition, they do have a power on collective bargaining because they have majority membership, which when they negotiate or something with employers, the negotiation usually will be held with fast response from employers. While in limited recognition, the union will not have bargaining power because they only represent minority of members. So the employees only can voice their dissatisfaction on something and issue it right to their employers. In other words, it also called as individual grievances. Lastly is the power to represent. So in terms of general recognition, the union actually have a power to represent all the employees, whether they are the members or the members. This is because if the employers grant one union with the general recognition, it means the union have majority numbers of membership within the workplace. So whenever there are negotiations about something, the other non-members will also get the benefit because most of them are majority consist of trade union members. For example, QPADs that represent majority of civil servants in Malaysia. While in limited recognition, they only can represent the members in the union because they only have minority members.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Aini Azatul binti Baharum. I will explain in the part of recognitions. There are two types of recognition which are voluntary and statutory. I will explain in voluntary recognitions. Voluntary recognition is the approval that made by the employer for the trade union before the trade unions registering with the Department of Trade Union Affairs. In Trade Union Act 1959, in the Act state that every trade union who want to be established must get the approved and recognized by the employer. For voluntary recognition, the employee is one who voluntarily itself to recognize the unions without use any legal procedure. And before that, the employer and trade union will make an agreement about the rule of recognitions, and the agreement is to prevent the misunderstanding between employer and the unions in an organization. So, if the employees or trade unions fail to get the recognition from employer, the union have to wait at least 6 months to request the new attempt, which are to get a new recognition from the employers. So that's all from me. We will move to Aini Sofia, which is statutory recognition.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aini Sofia binti Muhammad Zaki. I will proceed the presentation with the types of recognition, which is statutory. Statutory recognition differs with voluntary recognition, where an employer does not voluntarily recognize the trade union as a representative of the employees. An employer does not accept and refuse the current recognition because there are more than one union exists in workplace. It becomes difficult for an employer to manage and fulfill the different and excessive demands of the employee. However, it is the nature of the employee as a pressure group often ask for excessive demand for an employer, such as promotion, salary, allowance, bonus, and so on. And then under the Industrial Relation Act, the union recognition a necessary prerequisite to collective bargaining. The union can start to negotiate with an employer on behalf of the employees after get approval recognition from the employer. For example, when collective bargaining not conductive, the union do not have power to force the employer to listen to the union members' grievance, claims, and suggestion. So the employees are unable to negotiate their rights and welfare in the workplace in terms of proper wages and other terms and conditions of the service. Then the other ways to get the recognition from an employer is the trade union may make a written application for the industrial court for the legal right. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Asilah binti Muhammad Yusof. So I will proceed on the presentation for procedure of recognition. The first one is application, second one is employer's reply, third union report to Director General of Industrial Relations DGIR, fourth measure taken by DGIR, and lastly measure taken by the Ministry of Human Resource. For the first stage, which is application, once the union has successfully organized the workers in a particular workplace, it will try to obtain recognition from the employer. To do this, it must fill out the claim for recognition form, which is simply called as Form A in the schedule of the Industrial Relations Act, and present it to the employer. The copy of the form will also be forwarded to the Director General of Industrial Relations DGIR, and in the form, the union are required to state its name and address and specify for whom the workers that the union are requesting the recognition, and the union's constitution must also be included. The second stage of the procedure of recognition is employer's reply. Once the application has been submitted to the employer, then the employer has 21 days to reply to it, whether they accord the recognition or they refuse to accord the recognition. And there are 3 possible response that can be made by the employer. The first one is the ideal response in terms of maintaining peaceful industrial relation, which is voluntary recognition. Whether or not the employer choose to voluntarily give recognition very much depends on the attitude and philosophy of the management towards union. If the union making the application as in-house union, then there is a possibility that the union will getting recognition with minimum fuss. But however, if the employers is a type of employers that anti-union, there can be expected that their response is negative. Secondly, the response of the made by the employer is they refuse to grant the recognition, and lastly, the employer failed to respond to the recognition application. The next stage of the recognition is union report to DGIR. As stated in Section 9, Subsection 4 of the Industrial Relations Act, if the employees refuse to grant the recognition or fail to give any response to the union, then the union of the employees can make a written report to DGIR regarding the refusal. The employer can refuse to grant the recognition, but they need to inform the union and must state their own reason for the refusals. After the refusals, the union has 14 days to submit a report to DGIR for the future action to be taken by Department of Industrial Relations. But if there is no report made by the union, then the application it is deemed to be withdrawn.
My name is Nofarha Binti Rizal, and I will proceed the presentation with the fourth stage in the procedure of recognition, which is the measure taken by the Director General of Industrial Relations. When the employer are refusing to grant the trade union of the employees with the recognition, then the trade union can file a complaint and write a report to the Director General of Industrial Relations. This is because Director General of Industrial Relations has been given power to take any steps or measures that he deemed relevant and necessary in order to help resolving the problems as provided in the Section 9 subsection 1A of the Industrial Relations Act 1967. This is because if the problems are not solved immediately, there will be the employees are not satisfied with each other, and this will lead to chaos situations such as riot, protests, and so on, that will make matters worse for both employees and employers. Therefore, in order to prevent this situation from happening, then the Director General of Industrial Relations can take necessary steps to make the problems settle immediately. Okay, under Section 9 subsection 4B, there are three things that are being highlighted regarding the measures that the Director General of Industrial Relations can take in order to resolve this problem, which is the first one. The Director General of Industrial Relations can request for both employers and the trade union to provide and give him necessary informations and details regarding the process or anything regarding the recognition, in order for him to get more information and know what to do next. And the second one is the Section 9 subsection 4B also specified that the Director General of Industrial Relations may refer to the Director General of the Trade Union in coming up with his decision to ensure that the trade union that apply for the recognition is able and competent to represent the employees of the trade union regarding their voices or necessary things regarding the workers and so on. The last thing under the Section 9 subsection 4B that are being highlighted, the Director General of Industrial Relations also can go to the employee's workplace of the trade union that applied for the recognition in order for him to examine and inspect the document that are related to the trade union or the recognition process, and also conduct a secret ballot there to get and determine the number of the membership or the employees that support the trade union. Okay, and lastly, after all of the measures are being taken, and the Director General of Industrial Relations felt that the trade union are eligible enough and he feels satisfied with the trade union, he will advise the employees to grant recognition if the union is eligible. Stage in the procedure of recognition is the measure taken by the Ministry of Human Resources. When the employer still refuses to grant recognition to the trade union of the employees as advised by the Director General of Industrial Relations, then the matters will be brought up to the Ministry of the Human Resources in order for them to give the final decisions to resolve this dispute. This is because they have been given the power to give the final decisions regarding the matters as stated in the section 9 subsection 5 of the IRA 1967, where the Ministry of the Human Resources has been vested with power to make decisions regarding recognition. Therefore, they will be the one that make the final decision. And then, in order to come up with the decision, the minister will be getting advice and help from both Director General of Trade Union and Director General of Industrial Relations by the presentment of the majority of membership or support from the employees regarding the trade union, whether they have the majority or not. Usually, if the trade union gain membership and support for about 50% and above, the minister usually will request the employers to give the trade union the recognition that they have applied for. And then the minister's decision is final, and the employers have to comply with the decision, and the decision cannot be challenged at any court, as the section 9 subsection 6 of IRA 1967 has clearly specified that the ministry decision is final, and there are no court that can challenge the decision.
What can be concluded from this recognition topic is, for a trade union to be functioned, the employees must get the recognition from the employees first, according to the list step. So, after the recognition of one union has been approved by the employers, then they will get their own freedom to exercise their right as employees.